Master of Poisons, Chapter 1, Jola. We are more likely to deny truth than admit grave error and change our minds. Even in the face of overwhelming evidence or imminent destruction, we refuse to believe in any gods but our own. Who can bear for the ground to dissolve under their feet and the stars to fall from the sky? So we twist every story to preserve our faith. Jola thought to steer the Archesian Empire away from this terrible yet mundane fate. He was 43, handsome and fearless, arrogant even, the master of poisons, and second to none in the Archesian Empire, except Emperor Azizi. When Poison Desert appeared in the barbarian South and the free Northland, didn't he warn Azizi? For 20 years, as it crept through river valleys and swallowed forests, Jola pleaded with counsel and begged good Empire citizens to change their ways. But as long as sweet water fell from the sky every afternoon and mist rolled in on a night wind, everybody promised to change tomorrow, next week. Then crops failed and rivers turned to dust. Good citizens now feared change would make no difference or was in fact impossible. Who could fight the wind? Chapter 2 of Master of Poisons. When Awa was a 12-year-old garden sprite, green elders declared Smokeland a true realm of vision and spirits. Awa and the other sprites were not to fear or make fun of sacred space as most people did. Smokeland was a vast territory of possibilities and maybe nots, but never very far from what was happening right now. Smoke walkers were intrepid adventurers exploring the unknown, dream tinkerers who shifted the shape of the everyday. Awa never told the Green Elders or anybody, but she'd become a Smokeland believer at 6. Whenever Mother's spirit faded away like smoke on the wind, Awa held tight to Mother's breath body, sometimes for hours. Awa sang, told herself stories, or talked to bees and wild dogs until Mother returned from Smokeland with herbs from nowhere in this world. Awa hugged cold from Mother's thoughts, shook dead weight from Mother's bones, and combed fearful snarls from her wiry hair. Watching over Mother's breath body was a lot to ask of a young daughter who had snarls and sorrows of her own. Awa's older brothers would have felt duty-bound to report a smoke-walking witch woman to Father. Being a good Empire citizen, Father would have turned Mother in to the high priest in Holy City or killed her to avoid shame. So guarding her breath body during illicit adventures fell to Awa. Mother and other smokewalkers reported slogging through a border realm of enchanting freaks and monsters. Before entering Smokeland proper, they were harassed by lightning bolts and spears of fire, jellyfish explosions, and poison dust cyclones were also common. Worst was a cold, dark emptiness that seeped through skin, erasing thought, desire, and fear. To survive the border void, smokewalkers often drank a cathedral seed and cloud silk potion to lift their minds above despair. This potion eased the journey, but did not cause it. Even drugged, many people never made it through Smokeland's border realms. Their spirit bodies got lost in the emptiness or stolen by High Priest Hezron for his conjure. Their breath bodies withered to bone and then dust. Awa thought of it as poison desert in the mind. The first time she wandered to Smokeland was in the company of bees. It was the day before her 12th birthday. She and oldest brother Kanu had opened an elephant corral left behind by thief lord raiders, and they let the beasts run free. Angry villagers who wanted to sell the elephants chased after them, but the elephants escaped. Father was outraged. Awa ran away from him and mother, arguing over true love and some other man's child. Awa followed friend honeybees as they flew sideways into the woods. Which woods, she could never say. The forest surrounding father's lands was ancient cathedral trees, whispering to one another up in the clouds. Bronze-colored bark was dappled with purple moss. Feathery needle leaves started out red and turned green with age. Cathedral roots were as thick as awa and oozed an oily scent that made her dizzy. In her childish memory, Smokeland terrain got tangled with the everyday. This first time, Awa was disappointed not to find a border of fiends, exploding jellyfish, and void smoke. She landed in a field of wildflowers by a cathedral tree grove. She moved at the speed of thought, spinning endlessly around a drop of water as it slid down a leaf. In a blink, she raced from riverbank to valley to rocky peak. A beehive the size of an elephant rested inside a tree trunk cavern. Swarms of workers buzzed about, stingers hot with venom. Dancing distress, they smelled like ripe bananas. Awa saw no reason for alarm. Trees and bushes were heavy with flowers. The ground was a mosaic of petals. Deep-throated blossoms bulged with fragrant nectar. Inside the hive, the queen pushed an egg from her abdomen into a cell every minute. Workers spit nectar into the queen's mouth. 1,000 nurses buzzed over a developing brood. Drones were fat and frisky. Bee paradise. Sentinel bees clustered around Awa's mouth. She was afraid they might sting her. Was she the danger? They spit honey and venom on her tongue, a bittersweet concoction. Night fell like a dark curtain. A cold scar moon hung overhead, a desperate lantern in deep dark. Sentinels wagged their butts and buzzed away from the giant hive. Awa flew among 1,000 bees toward Smokeland's border, where flowers dissolved and cathedral trees crumbled into poisoned sand. The slash of moon dripped blood. Confused bees flew into the ground. They ate their own wings and stung rocks. Faceted eyes clouded over and sparking hearts burned out. 1,000 wings flew ahead of Awa and turned to smoke. She choked. Confronted with the famed horror of the border realm, Awa tried to slow down, tried to turn back for bee paradise, but she no longer had the speed of thought. Her mind was sluggish terror and then blank as void smoke enveloped her. A taste of the sentinels lingered in her mouth. A stinger caught in a tooth pricked her tongue. Venom flowed to her heart and she swooned. Father and other good empire citizens claim there was no realm of imagination, no true land of visions and spirits. Smokeland was sleepwalking sickness, drunken dreams, or green elder nonsense. That explained tattoos, burnt hair, and the treasures folks brought back from their adventures. Smoke walkers knowing what they shouldn't or couldn't was another matter. Father couldn't explain that away. He just insisted mother's exotic herbs and concoctions were family secrets. Southern thief lords sold or burned any woman who knew too much. Northern savages sliced smoke walkers from navel to chin to expel demons. Priests and witch doctors poisoned their breath bodies and stole spirit blood to power gate spells or do other conjure. This was a living death. Good empire citizens locked up smoke walkers to train for priesthood if they were men, or drain as transgressors if they were women. And a vazen, what Anawanama Northerners called someone who was neither man nor woman, had to decide for one or another horrible fate, living as a man or dying as a woman. So, Awa returned from her first Smokeland trip to Mother's Garden and let Smokeland knowledge taste sweet on her tongue. Then she swallowed it quickly, unspoken. That made her muscles lumpy and her joints wobbly. She snorted wisps of border void and felt dizzy. Father was still yelling at mother about an unruly daughter who'd end up like witch woman Kiri, wandering a cold mountain, bloody and bitter, childless and without love. Mother distracted him with a sack of jewels and coins, while Awa struggled back to her everyday self. The scar moon was low and the sun about to rise over mother's garden. Silver-leafed herbs brooded around the well, and spice bushes scented the air. Awa focused on cinnamon aromas. The everyday was as compelling as Smokeland. Mother must have carried Awa's breath body back from the forest. Forget the elephants, mother pleaded with father. Her willful hair was braided down in thick plaits. Her brown cheeks sagged. This unruly child has brought in a treasure. Counting the money, father didn't notice the wild pup licking Awa's face. Mother chased him off before father put a bolt in his furry hide. Dogs harassed the goats who had no fat to worry away. Selling Awa has saved your farm, mother said. Father looked up from his money bag at the tumble down corn crumbling in the fields. Fruit trees were covered in a fuzzy scale. Goats bleated at kids who were sucking at their dried teats. Father had stolen all the milk. We'll see if this farm can be saved, he said. His eyes were flicks of flame, his trim beard patchy. We'll see. Awa's face was flame hot, her hands cold. They were selling her on her birthday. Like a savage girl, nobody wanted to feed anymore.
Sorry about that, Andrea. I forgot that you were going to be joining us.
I just thought I was coming in at like later than the actual readings themselves, but if there aren't any questions or anything.
Oh, they just went. Yeah. Let me go look in the Discord and see what they've got.
Oh, okay.
So I'm looking at the Discord right now. I do not see any questions. It's possible that if you start talking that you'll generate some.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, I have food in my mouth. I only see Kevin Zoom hosts.
Oh, no, don't worry about that. Okay, yeah, you're live now.
Oh.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Well, here I am. I'm Andrea Hairston, who didn't have time to eat. So I ran to eat while the videos were playing. So my book comes out in a couple of weeks. And took me a while to write it, but I'm so happy it's actually about to happen. And any questions that anyone has, I'd be happy to answer about my process, about the characters, about the story, about why I wrote it, about how bees are very important to me, and all those good things. Okay. Well, maybe we're the only ones here, so.
This is a finished novel now?
It's coming out. I'll show you the book cover. If I stop video, ooh.
Uh-oh.
You can't see my video? Okay, I'll go back because I have when I usually stop video and you see the cover of the book, which is out.
No. Sorry about that.
I think if you share your screen, it should do that. I think
so
what happened is that you went to the host.
I went to the host?
Well, the image went to the host, so it went to Kevin instead of your book title.
Okay. Well, all I'm seeing is NASFiC 7. I don't see myself at all. That's,
Yep. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well,
Well,
I just came in. I mean, people may not have known that this reading was happening because the schedule stuff was a little funny, but so hey, that's
yeah,
okay.
I'm looking forward to reading it personally. You wrote it for middle grades, is that right?
No, it's an adult book or
Did you write it for
anybody.
middle grades?
Nope,
It's an
I don't
adult
write.
book?
It's an
Well,
adult
for
book.
anybody? Yeah.
Yeah, or anybody who can
Okay,
manage it.
because it looked like something that I would definitely want my daughter to read.
Yes, I think that would be great.
Just from
How
the
old
two
is your?
chapters that you read from right there.
Yeah. Well,
My
I
daughter's
read.
11.
Okay, sure. One of the characters is 12 when the book starts, but she ends up being like 20 by the end of the book. And the other character, Jola, is in his 40s. So I think I say that in the book. So it's
Okay.
for everyone. Um, and it's really about growing up as
Yeah.
well as being middle-aged, and living in a society that you need to change, and how are you going to do it? So that's
Exactly. And that's an empowering message that young folks really need to hear.
right now, especially since a lot of people feel, oh my gosh, here we go. But I think facing how hard it is doesn't mean you have to go completely to despair. So that's what I try to do in this book. But I don't need any questions. So thank you for, running the videos. I hope people enjoyed it. And tell all your friends to buy the book.
Thank you. I
I will.
enjoyed it very
I would
much.
definitely will. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Take care.